Welcome back. Thanks for coming. I'm Claude Granitsky. I'm your Master of Ceremony. And I'm pretty sure you saw the marketing skills of MIT Sloan and the Africa Innovate team. You saw this morning we advertised Ashish Thakkar as Africa's youngest billionaire. And on the card, we also have advertised in a very clever way the richest black woman. So what does that mean? Who and what is the richest black woman? Well, it's a story of commitment and it's a story of success. We have our second keynote speaker, who, according to Forbes magazine, is the wealthiest woman of black color in the world. She is one of the most accomplished entrepreneurs in the world, in Africa and everywhere else. And it is with great honor that I will introduce her as a philanthropist, as a woman who succeeded in the world of business in banking, real estate, fashion, and several other industries. But today, we're really going to focus on her role as a philanthropist and the way that she's been able to give back to communities in her native Nigeria. She lives in Lagos, and her empire has expanded outside of Lagos and many, many other concentric circles. And she will be having a conversation with my friend Farai Gundan from Forbes and Forbes Africa. So our second keynote fireside chat is Mrs. Alakija and Farai Gundan. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Am I on? Am I mic? Am I on? Can you guys hear me? Thank you so much to Jide and the entire MIT team for this honor to conduct and moderate this fireside chat with what I call Madame Alakija. So just as a note, I call her personally Madame Alakija, but she's Mrs. Alakija. So if I slip up, you guys just forgive me. Welcome, Mrs. Alakija.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Is it your first time at MIT?
It is.
All right, well, guys, let's give her a very warm welcome. Okay, so I'll get to my questions. I'm sure a lot of you want to hear from this great lady. So there are three of them in the world. One is from Angola. The other one is African American. And really, truly, it is an honor and a pleasure to have the third, one of the richest women in the world. So I'm very excited to be chatting with Madame Alakija. The media narrative on Africa is evolving rapidly. Everyone is talking about Africa rising. The theme for MIT's conference this year is, what is your big idea? Mrs. Alakija, what is your big idea for Africa? Unemployment is a huge problem across the continent, particularly for youth and women, which you have a passion for. What are some of the opportunities that you're seeing on the ground that could spark a business idea for maybe someone who's sitting in the audience today?
I believe that we should take advantage of our challenges. Our challenges are enormous, so we should seize the opportunity of our challenges to build on it, find ways forward, rather than look for new ideas. We already have our challenges. We already know what the problems are. And we all know that if you go into the Bible, God said that He said to Moses when he sent him to the Israelites, and when he sent himself and the Israelites to Pharaoh, asking him to let his people go. He said, Moses, what's in your hand? And he said he has a shepherd's staff. And that was the only thing he had in his hand. And all he was wearing were just his plain clothes. So he said, okay, that's what you have. Use it. Throw it on the ground. And the rest is history. So what do we have that we can use in our continent before we begin to look for other options? We have to exhaust what we already have, what God has already given us, and make full use of it first. Because God is a God of excellence. He's not into wastage. You have to finish with one level before you go on to the next. And he's going to make you accountable. What have you done with what he's already given you? That's the question we need to ask ourselves. What have we done with the resources that he has blessed Africa with?
Yes.
He has blessed us with people, large numbers. He has blessed us, and within the people that he has blessed us with. He has blessed us with women who have a lot of potential. I'll come back to that. He has blessed us. Oh, yes. I won't miss it. Won't miss that opportunity. Right. And he has blessed us with 60% of arid land. Most of our land is basically arid, 60%. And we need to make use of that. We need to build and develop our agriculture all over the continent. Some countries are successful in that within the continent, but we need to learn from each other. I remember that Rwanda in the last 20 years have improved dramatically on their agriculture. They've been able to build on that. Yes. And there are countries that haven't done much with their agriculture. But Nigeria is doing something new. I don't know whether you know about it. Mm-hmm. Our Minister of Agriculture has given mobile phones to its farmers. And with the mobile phones, they're getting and monitoring fertilizers, the use of fertilizers and quantities they're able to get and source and obtain from the government. And that is a new innovation for Nigeria and for Africa. I believe that other African countries should build on that. And I'll come back to women right now. What are the potentials of women? We are resourceful. We're extremely hardworking. We are persistent. We are rugged. Mm-hmm. We are loyal. We are committed. We are home builders, business women. And if we can do that successfully, I'm sure you've seen lots of women succeed in their various businesses. The only problem is that they don't have enough access to funding. So, we have to find solutions to all that. So that as they get funding, you'll find that a clear example is the Grameen Bank, which is in India. We have to learn from other countries, other continents, and support our own. Mm-hmm. Now, that is a bank that's for both men and women. Yes. But it's only the women that have taken the most advantage of the Grameen Bank. 90% of the clients, in fact 95% I believe it is, of their clients are women. And they have 1,000 branches since they started in 35,000 villages. So they now have a source of funding. They've been able to feed their families from that. Mm-hmm. So they've grown that from the little that they had from the beginning, and they keep going back for more. So we should borrow ideas like that within our continent to help the women to get funding, to be able to provide for their families. And in mentioning,
within the continent, there's the issue of intra-Africa trade as well, within the concept of big idea. So yes. What are your thoughts on intra-Africa trade?
At the moment, intra-Africa trade is basically 12%
yes.
within Africa.
Okay. That's a very low number.
As against 60% in the European Union.
Okay.
So that goes to show you that we're not taking advantage of that, and we should.
Yes.
But we have challenges. What are those challenges? Some of them have to do with infrastructure, not putting infrastructure in place to be able to move our goods from country to country.
Within Africa.
Within Africa.
Correct.
And I believe that there's a highway that's already been constructed, but that needs to be developed properly. That needs to be finished so that there can be freedom of movement and so that countries can move within the continent easily and move their goods within the continent easily. And then we need to remove some of the barriers.
Yes.
I mean, the barriers, as you know, are visa issues. I mean, the West African West African region, has solved that problem for just the West African region. But we need to extend that all over the continent so that those movement barriers are removed, so that it becomes easier for us to be able to trade amongst ourselves. And they do say that charity begins at home.
Okay.
And if we're able to trade amongst ourselves in our continent and make good use of it and promote trade,
Yes.
then we can begin to move to other countries outside the continent. At the moment, people have focused more on going to the Western world.
Yes.
But because of our numbers, we need to take advantage of our numbers.
Yes.
I mean, if we just do business amongst ourselves, you'll find that there'll be a lot more
Yes.
billionaires
Yes.
than we have today.
And she looked at me. Did you guys see that? And you're seeing that with fashion too. You're seeing the growth of us, the development of the fashion industry in Africa. So for more Africans to patronize and to do more trading amongst themselves, and for us even to purchase their clothing.
Well, I'll tell you for a start, I hope you don't mind me getting up. This is very Nigerian. It is made in Nigeria. It is hand beaded. We have textile companies where the fabrics are made. I mean, if this was to go into Bloomingdale's or Macy's, I mean, it would be thousands of dollars.
Yes.
Am I right? Because it's all done by hand, one bead at a time. We have the ability. We have the designers all over the continent that have God-given talents. But are we making good use of them? No, not enough. We still prefer to go to the Americas. We still prefer to go to London. We still prefer to go to Paris. So we need to patronize our own. Charity, as I said, begins at home.
Yes. And I'm really encouraged to know that even though in your position you can literally afford the Givenchy's and all these other top American and Western brands, but you are supporting our own. So it's really encouraging to know that. Now, as an African female entrepreneur, what is life like for a woman, a person like yourself, an African female entrepreneur? What are some of the challenges that you face and have faced? And how have you navigated around those challenges? Because I'm sure there are some women in the audience that are, battling some challenges. How has Madame Alakija gone about handling the challenges that she's faced?
Well, there are boardroom issues that women face. Before you open your mouth, they have already drawn a conclusion. What's she doing here?
And you would know, since
You would know. You can tell from their faces. They don't really want women in the boardroom. They're more comfortable keeping them, as SMEs. But that's not enough. Women should advocate, and even our governments should encourage us to increase the percentage of females in boardrooms. I know that Norway, for instance, encourages its nationals.
Yes.
And is it Sweden that actually mandates them to have a certain percentage of women in company on company boards?
Okay.
So that's something that we should look at and learn from, because women bring a lot to bear in business. God has basically given the woman a lot of extra potential. Now, the men shouldn't get jealous now, but this is a fact. There are some gifts that God has given to men, and there are a lot more that He's given to the women. And we're just saying that the women have so many abilities that they're not given enough chance to prove their worth, to prove their ability. I mean, it's not that we're challenging the men in their roles. No, we're just saying, give us a chance to be able to prove our worth, to be able to support you. You understand me?
Yes.
To bring about, to be able to help generally.
Yes, yes. And one of the things...
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. There are so many things that women face, especially in male-dominated sectors of various industries. They don't believe that women should be found in those sectors, that they're male-dominated. They should remain as male preserves,
Yes.
and the women should just basically stay in the kitchen or just carry on looking after the children. But the world is changing.
Yes.
The men can't do it on their own anymore.
Yes, yes.
They should be able to admit that.
Yes, yes.
No, seriously.
Madame Alakijo,
Yes.
so given all of that, as a businesswoman, a philanthropist, a mother, a wife of 38 years, what keeps you up at night?
You know what? To be very, very, very honest with you, it might not be music in the ears of some people. It might not be the kind of things that they're used to, because, they just understand that, this is the way we do business. So there's no other way to do it. Now, nothing keeps me up at night.
Really?
When I hit my pillow, I sleep. Also because it's not that I don't have challenges,
Okay.
but because I choose
Okay.
to give them to the Lord.
Okay.
I hand them over to Him.
Okay.
And when I wake up in the morning, it's another ball game.
Okay. Okay. That's fair enough. Let's talk about your companies. You've been very bullish in diversifying your business portfolio. You are into digital printing, real estate, you are into philanthropy, and the other business, what is it again? Oil. Yes. As an entrepreneur, how do you go about identifying investments and growth opportunities? Because you've really succeeded. It's almost like you have a golden touch or golden hand in whatever you touch, it seems to prosper. So how do you go about identifying that? Again, for the entrepreneurs in our midst who may be contemplating some strategic business moves, what would you offer them in that area?
We have to learn from God.
Okay.
Right. He is, as I said, a God of excellence. He expects us to do things in excellent fashions.
Okay.
So we have to do our homework. We have to research. We can't fold our arms and say, well, they said there's a God and He's supposed to do things for us, and we just expect that the miracles will just come, flowing down. That's not the way it works. You have to pray.
Yes.
I do that a lot. I let Him guide me. But the fact that, He's ready and willing to always guide us because we are His children and He loves us is not enough.
Okay.
He expects us to do our homework. He expects us to put systems and practices and policies in place.
Okay.
So just waking up one day and saying that, oh, because Jane is into this line of business, that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
It doesn't mean it's going to work for you.
Okay.
First and foremost, you have to ask yourself, is this something that I'm going to be able to achieve? And am I going to be able to do this? Is this something that I'm going to love doing? Because every time that we get up to go to work in the morning, we have to look forward to going to work, not grumbling before we go to work. If it's not your line of business or the kind of thing that you would enjoy doing, then you're in the wrong line of business.
Okay.
So we have to go to the drawing board, decide on where our location is going to be, because location plays a very important and strategic part of decision making.
Yes.
and business building and growth and development. So if you're doing the right business and you're doing it in the wrong location, it's bound to fail. So if you don't prepare, if you prepare, you prosper.
Yes.
So you can prepare to prosper or prepare to fail.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
So it's important to, to dot your I's and cross your T's.
Okay.
It's important to do your homework and your research, ask questions, talk to people who have been in that kind of business
And have
before
succeeded.
and who are still in it and who have succeeded in it. Go and, tap their brains.
Okay.
Talk to them. Get some, learning curves from
Yes,
them.
yes.
I mean, maybe they were the first few that were in that line of business, maybe in that country. So they've gone through several challenges and they've learned a few things going down that road.
Yes.
So you can cut off some of that by asking them and talking to them. And I believe that, they're always willing to give tips.
Yes.
Especially if you come from the same country.
Yeah.
So that usually helps. But I always take every major step
Okay.
to the Lord in prayer before I do it.
Okay.
And he does talk to me in my dreams.
Yeah.
Try it, it works.
And I'm sure people don't realize that you also have a very successful digital printing company that that you're very passionate about, that you've loved, and that grew out of you loving fashion, and then you went into the printing business and were able to do, these screens that you're able to provide for you from your company in Nigeria.
There was a time that I knew that God was talking to me, and he was trying to tell me that, okay, I'm done with the business, with the fashion line now in your life. You need to move on. And I was holding on to it. I was struggling with letting go. I didn't want to let go because fashion is my passion, as you can tell. So I was struggling with that. Anyway, it got to a time that I did have to let go. So I decided that I didn't want to give up the industry completely, that I would still want to remain in it no matter how small. So I decided to go into mass-produced garments, T-shirts. And one thing led to the other. When we started making the T-shirts, people started asking for monograms to be on the T-shirts, for heat transfer to be on the T-shirts, and that included caps and towels and stuff like that. And they wanted screen printing on them. So we opened all those departments, and we expanded that line of business. And then as we were doing that, we had more requests for large format printing. So I took advantage of that. So we also do wall drapes, when you have adverts, huge adverts on building walls, backdrops, billboards,
Yes.
roll-up banners, and stuff like this. So we started doing that as well. And as I saw that, I was beginning to get bored with that, I spoke to God again. I said, Lord, I'd love to do another business. What should I do? And he gave me another dream. And he showed me offset printing. However, it wasn't until I attended an exhibition. It was a huge exhibition. And I came across some machines. And those machines reminded me suddenly of the dream that I had a couple of years back. And I screamed at that exhibition. It was like, what's wrong with her? Anyway, the rest is history. We've gotten into offset printing, and I wish I'd done it much earlier. It's just awesome. When you let God lead you,
Yes.
when you let him direct you, when you listen to him,
Yes.
you can't go wrong, because he knows our end right from the beginning, and he knows our beginning right from the right to the end. So learn to listen to God, learn to do your homework, and if you're in the right business that you enjoy, you will make money from it. Especially, if you enjoy it, you'll make sure that it works.
Yes.
And if it works, you'll laugh all the way to the bank.
Yes,
like
which
I
you
do.
have done. And Claude mentioned this in introducing you to the audience. And I actually really love what you're doing with your philanthropy, which is the Rose of Sharon Foundation. And with this foundation, you focus mainly on widows and orphans. Now, philanthropy in Africa, as we know, is gaining ground. What are the lessons that you have learned in doing philanthropy in Africa? What are the challenges? And how can we in the audience help you in your endeavors? I know you have books out there, you have a table. Please make sure you stop by and talk to our people. But how can we help in that regard? But I want to talk about the lessons first. I know I'm asking you a number of questions, lessons, and then the challenges, and then.
Well, we've learned that it's always better to teach people how to fish rather than give them fish.
Okay.
You give them fish, they eat it, they forget it, they move on. And it's like, where's the next meal coming from?
Okay.
So you haven't really helped them. But if you teach them to fish, I mean, they're going to fish forever. And they're going to be able to provide for their own families. And that's what we do at the Rose of Sharon Foundation. It's a foundation for widows and orphans. God called me, and he gave me a scripture in my heart when I asked him, what is it precisely? Where is it precisely that you're sending me to? And he gave me that scripture. He gave me James chapter 1, verse 27, where it says that we should visit widows and orphans. And as far as he's concerned, that is true religion.
Okay. Okay.
So we started doing that. I called a few friends together. There's as trustees, some of them are here today with
Yes,
me.
yes.
And together, we have found ways and means of helping those widows. And the numbers of the widows and the orphans have increased in leaps and bounds. We couldn't believe it. Initially, we had about 3 widows for a year and a half. Until the Lord said, go on air. So we went on radio, and in one day we had over 200 widows. And it hasn't been the same ever since. We have been able to give them loans that are interest-free.
Okay.
We asked them to, of course, pay back.
Yes.
Because if we gave them the money just like that, of course, they would spend it, they would forget about it, and they'd be looking for where the next free money or freebies is going to come from.
So you're holding them accountable.
So we hold them accountable.
And you're treating them as entrepreneurs as well.
We treat them as entrepreneurs. And we give them the opportunity and the grace to be able to come back for a larger amount once they finish paying that one. And we tie it to the scholarships that we give to their children. We give their children scholarships all the way to university.
Okay.
We pray that some of them will end up in MIT. So we say to them that if you pay back your loans diligently, you can come back for more, and we will continue paying your children's school fees. But if you renege on making those repayments, we will stop paying the school fees of your children.
Okay.
So they're very, very diligent in ensuring that they pay back. That way, we're able to reach a lot more widows and spread out a lot more, give more widows the advantages and opportunities to be able to key into the scholarships.
I could come and say, I'm a widow, and cry and say, my husband died, my husband died. How are you able to identify that I'm a bona fide widow, I'm going through this? Because literally any person, I hear you giving out interest-free in this day and age loans. Of course I want to fabricate a story and come to the foundation. So how do you mitigate that? How do you manage and verify that?
What we do is we do a verification exercise.
Okay.
Amongst the trustees, don't forget, God said we should visit them.
Yes.
So it's important to visit them.
Okay.
So one of the first things that we do is actually to make that visit, regardless of how remote the areas where they're living may be, or how dirty or whatever, because we even had women that were living on dump yards that we had to remove from the dump yards with all their children and put in, better housing. So we verify them. I'm not saying that it is foolproof.
Yes.
Because some of them can be very, very clever.
Yes.
Clever in quotes. But we counsel them, we talk to their children, we talk to neighbors as we are approaching their homes to find out whether such and such a person is actually a widow.
Okay.
Now, it hasn't been, completely foolproof. Some have been able to, get away with it.
Okay.
But in having said that, what we've now put in place to mitigate that is biometrics data capturing machines, which we now use. So what we say to them is, you now have to come to the foundation's offices and come with your children, and we capture their data, we take pictures of themselves and their children, and you put everything in the computer, and we found out that at least just over a quarter of them have not turned up ever since we started that exercise, meaning that those are the ones that we have empowered who were not widows, because they know that they're about to be found out.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. It's not every day that one encounters an African billionaire and a woman at that. What does a typical day look like for you? And what are some of the important things that you consider daily?
I find that, my day starts with prayer.
Okay.
Oh, hang on. Sorry. I kissed my husband first. I don't forget that. Yes. I kiss him good morning. God requires that.
Yes.
It's about marriage.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And God is he guides us through our marriages.
Yes.
and he's very jealous about marriages.
Yes.
And he expects us to behave in certain ways
Yes.
in our marriages. So the first thing I do the minute I open my eyes is to kiss my husband good morning. And then I go and pray. My days are never the same.
Okay.
So they're all different all the time for various reasons. But I do set aside a day in the week, which is a Tuesday,
Okay.
which I devote entirely to the Lord. And it's
Into
also
ministry work?
Into ministry.
Okay.
Into ministry work. We have a fellowship as well. Some of the members of our fellowship are also here. And we commit ourselves into praying, fasting, and fellowshipping together. And others join us in the evening. And we're about to start a lunch hour fellowship as well, also on Tuesdays.
Okay.
So that's how I spend my Tuesdays.
The rest of the
The
day?
rest is, of course, emails, letters, phone calls, meetings. And that's the way it goes on till the end of the day, every day. Apart from when I obviously have to travel to attend conferences like this and give speeches and, what have you, which is getting to be quite a lot these days. I'm not complaining. Don't get me wrong.
In summary, and I'm going to open up to Q&A. In summary, what are some of the advice, key issues or tips that you'd give to someone in the audience who's considering in investing or engaging in Africa?
Well, I think the first thing to tell them is what they have to have at the back of their minds is when they're going into Africa, they must realize that it's not going to be business as usual. No. If they go in with that notion that, okay, this is the way we do business, and they expect to do business exactly like that in Africa, no, they're going to get their fingers burnt. That's not the way to do it. You have to learn what the cultures are in the country that you're going into. Despite the fact that many things bind us, there are other things that are different from country to country within the continent. So you have to find out what it is about this particular country that I want to go into.
Okay.
And then do some homework to know how to, blend in with that and be able to do things right so that, you don't get cold shoulders.
Yes. So Nigeria is not going to be the same as South Africa. So really understand.
It's not going to be. It's not going to be.
The local dynamics.
That's right. Well, for instance, Nigerians are extremely fashionable people.
Okay.
And South Africans, yes, they like fashion, but they don't have a lot of fashion designers as much as Nigeria, as much as Nigeria has. So they look forward to Nigerian fashion designers selling clothes to them.
Okay.
Do you understand? So they're ready to bite off your back.
Okay.
Oh yes.
Yes.
It's like that.
Yes.
So anyway, that's just by the way. I would suggest that the person who's going into Africa for the first time has it at the back of their minds that there are going to be challenges, that there will be times when there won't be light. Some of those from the Western world may not have experienced a blackout before in their lives, but we're used to it. So they need to condition their minds to know that they'll be bitten by mosquitoes, and they'll just have to go like that. Okay, that's enough. You've had enough now. Find a way around that.
Yeah.
There are things that you can buy. You can spray your body, you can spray your legs, and make sure that you're not wearing dark clothes at night so that you don't get bitten by mosquitoes. Make sure that you don't go to the wrong places. It happens in every country.
In every country,
you have to know where to go and where not to go. You understand me?
Yeah.
You have to know where there are gaps within the business circles that need to be filled. Which are the areas that have potential, that are already saturated in Europe, for instance, but would give you a lot of returns on your investments. So you have to do some homework. What's going to be the ROI on this line of business?
Okay.
And what's going to be the ROI on this line of business if I move into Africa? So, you know, it's all about, you know, doing your homework and not taking things for granted.
Yes.
And conditioning your mind to be ready and willing to face challenges. And as I said before, the more the challenges or the bigger the challenges, the bigger the returns.
All right, and you've seen how big those returns can be. Madam, thank you so much. I'm going to open up to Q&A. So if there are any questions, I think we have 2 mics on this side and on that side. And if we can alternate in the questions, starting with this side, please. And do keep your questions very briefly. Thank you so much.
Hi, thank you very much for your responses. They're very inspiring. I'm Refila and I'm from South Africa. And
We're sisters, don't worry.
yeah, I love Nigerian fashion. So oftentimes you find that the certain industries and certain cultures in Africa look down upon innovations and ideas of the youth, especially with females. So how would you suggest that the youth puts pressure on systems in order to get our voices heard?
How to put pressure on systems to get your, well, you've got the advantage of numbers.
Yes.
Yes? There are millions of youth. Imagine, in every family, a family of father and mother, they have 3 children, 4 children, and sometimes they do go up to a dozen. Because in Africa, we're very prolific. So numbers are on our side. So the youth have to take advantage of their numbers to be able to make their voices heard. Have a united front. Make your voices heard. Set up seminars, talk shows to inspire those of others. Let the older generation know that, listen, your generation is totally different from our generation. These days, this is how things are done. And when the older generation catch on and latch on, you'll find that, I mean, I had to learn how to use all these things. I'll be 63 in a couple of months. But, you know, you'll get left behind. So you have to teach them that times are changing. Let them know that this is the way to do things these days. And you'll find that your voices will be heard.
Thank you so much. The gentleman to my right.
Yes, my name is SCNB from Alt International Business School.
Closer to the
My question goes like this. Imitation in Africa as a whole has been what has been destroying talents. Assuming I have a first mover advantage in designing of these your clothes, and from your experience, what can you advise that will enable me to strengthen my barriers of entries to avoid other competitors around me from imitating my designing these clothes? Because that has been one of the key issues talents are suffering in Africa.
Well, I know that trademarks aren't working very well in Africa. It would be ideal to be able to lock it into, lock it to yourself that, okay, I own this.
Yes.
This trademark belongs to me, and you cannot go beyond this boundary. Now, innovation, creativity, right, is something that I know that God has given to Africans generally. It's a common talent amongst Africans. So you always have to be a step ahead of the others. Before they figure out how you've created that, you've created another one. So you have to keep moving. You understand me? And they have to keep trying to catch up with you. For now, that's the way it is until
we develop our
laws, trademark and our laws to be able to ensure that those trademarks will stick and nobody will be able to infringe on them. For now, you're going to have to be a step above, ahead of the others.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hello, my name is Rachel, and I'm from Zimbabwe. I have a proposition for you. How about I give you 1% of my wealth, and you give me 1% of yours? No, on a more serious note, you mentioned that Africa has a lot of resources, a lot of human resources, and women should be leveraged. How do women like myself, who've spent a significant portion of their lives abroad, navigate the opportunities at home and try to move back to the motherland?
The first thing I would do is to look around me when I'm going back to Zimbabwe, for instance. What is lacking in my country? That's the first question I would ask myself. What is it that has been available to me ever since I've been here that I have even come to take for granted that my nationals aren't enjoying?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that's question number one. Look for the gap. Look for the loophole that you can fill in. I remember a few years, maybe like 10, 12, 15 years back, we used to take all our clothes that needed to be dry cleaned back to England to dry clean. And then a bright young lady decided that, oh, you know what? I'm going to open up dry cleaning outfits. And she started with her first one. And now I think she has 4 or 5 branches in our country. And people stopped taking clothes abroad to dry clean. Can you imagine? I mean, you're going abroad, you have a limited number of suitcases you're allowed and kilos that you're allowed, and you've already filled, you have 3 suitcases, you've already filled 2 with dirty clothes. You're a non-starter. So right there and then, you've already got clientele lined up, waiting for you to come and set up this type of business. So look around you, my dear. The opportunities are immense. They're enormous. And that is why Africa has to rise.
Yes.
And Africa is rising. Our time has come, and it is now.
Yes. I'll have this young lady ask the last question. I do apologize to the gentleman, but Madame will be available afterwards in the lobby. So thank you so much. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Lynn. I'm a master's in electrical engineering.
Can you move closer to the mic?
Oh, sorry. So you mentioned that before getting into a business, you need to assess the potential of the business that you want to go into. And I was wondering, given that there isn't that much data on Africa, several continents in Africa and certain places specifically, how would you go about assessing the potential of a business in a particular country? So,
there isn't much what?
data on specific countries, yes.
Okay.
How would you go about assessing the potential of a specific business in an area?
Okay.
I mean, you could go and live in the country, but there's only so much you can do.
Okay. I agree with you that there isn't so much data. We have very limited data. We need to pay a lot of attention on that, and that's where you could even start.
Yes.
How's that? We need data. You could start with that. Providing data. Set up a company that's going to be providing data. And that's a loophole that needs to be filled. Okay, on a serious note. But I am serious. Right, but to answer your question rather, one of the first things I would do is to go online and begin to pose questions to people. What is it they need? What is it they're lacking? You understand me? And I mean, in the olden days, you would go for a feasibility study.
Yes.
You would go from area to area,
Yes.
and you'd be asking people questions one-on-one.
Yes.
You understand me?
Yes.
To get information. Since we do not have data as we should, as we would have liked, so we have to find a way around that.
Yes.
So that's the best way to talk to the people. You will get first-hand information from the nationals. They will be able to tell you what their needs are, what they're suffering, and what they believe that you could bring to bear to release and to reduce that suffering. And, you know, the list is just endless. There are so many opportunities in Africa. So I'd like to encourage all those who have not come to Africa before, or all those who are looking towards doing business in Africa and who've never done that, to come to Africa. The opportunities are immense. They're huge. we look forward to partnering with you.
All right. Thank you so much, Madame Alakija, for this very insightful conversation. Claude, do you want to come? Oh,
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. There's a presentation.
Oh.
So, do you want to? Okay.
Thank you very much. Very kind of you. I wouldn't have missed this for the world.
Yes.
I dropped everything when the invitation came.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? You have to find, I told my PAs, you have to find space in my diary. I must attend.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. God bless you.